all works out.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that didn't recognize, that is the theme to the Parks and Rec's sitcom from NBC. We don't own the rights to any of that. Joining us today is Donna Bauman, our very own Parks and Rec's director, and we are going to go ahead and get started on our weekly informational session. So welcome, everyone. Thanks, Donna, for coming in today.
Thank you for inviting me.
As always, we start off with code enforcement, my favorite. So let's go ahead and go with a couple of quick things for code enforcement. A lot of people might notice this. Obviously, we have a dumpster that has nothing around it, and so you can see things that could fly out of here and, you know, dirty up the rest of the city. So this is going to be one of the things that's going to be installed. You actually have just kind of a what they call a netting around it, so that way nothing will get around the trash that's receptacle that's out there. We also have some damaged fencing over here in some of our commercial areas. And not only was the fencing repaired, it was actually completely replaced with brand new fencing all the way around, adding to a little bit more of that aesthetic quality. If you want to know where this is basically everywhere behind, I would say behind starting with where the old fire or where the new firehouse is, all the way to the end of the road from there. And again, more fencing. Most people might not have even noticed it because it's not something you usually see when you're driving. This is the old Arena Diner over on the Blacklick Plaza, and so you can see it's kind of faded painting and things of that nature. And while it is not open, you still have to upkeep your property, so you can see there everything got a fresh coat of paint to make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Again, here you see some of the ideas for the Arena Diner. Again, a little bit more fresh paint jobs, things like that all the way across. And then last but not least is an area off of Main Street in Carlisle. You can see some of the grass that was there that had not been cut. And in a picture that will not surprise anybody, it's now cut. So, again, code enforcement is a huge thing. We do try to focus in on that on our commercial and residential areas. So again, keep an eye out for some of the areas that are getting a little bit more beautification. We do have a couple of big events coming up, and they are all related to Parks and Rec. The first one is this Saturday night. It's actually two events in one. We're going to have a food drive for Helping Hands Food Pantry this Saturday from 6 to 8 p.m. at Civic Park. And it's a little bit different than what you're thinking. Apparently, there's some Imperial troopers that are out looking for droids, and the only way to get through it is if you actually bring in a donation of non-perishable foods and non-expired foods that will be collected and used and given to Helping Hands Food Pantry in the coming days. So make sure you keep an eye out for there. I believe we have a couple of droids. There might be a couple of Jedi out there, as well as some stormtroopers and whatnot. And then a little bit later after that, in a separate event, is The Rise of Skywalker. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker will be our drive-in movie. As with tradition with Parks and Recs, rain is in the forecast, so please keep an eye out for that in case some cancellation has to occur. But those are a couple of good things that are coming up for us. And then we also have the Farmers Market tomorrow night from 4 to 7 right here at JFK. Always a good time. I think we've added a couple of vendors over the last few weeks to come in and take a look at that. So make sure you join in. It's always a good place to go to. With that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to our Parks and Rec director, Donna Bauman. First off, really, everybody's big question when they come in is, how are you and your family dealing with COVID?
We're dealing well. My husband and I, fortunately, perhaps, are empty nesters, so it's just the two of us. We're still here to talk about it, so we haven't killed one another, so that's a good sign. We've been doing our social distancing, doing a lot of at-home cooking, trying new meals, and just doing what we can and doing our part to stay safe and keep our family safe and friends.
Okay. You see any good fireworks?
I may have seen a few good fireworks on July 4th. Yes, okay. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay. Just checking in case, you know, if I live relatively close to you, if you might have seen some of those same fireworks.
We probably saw some of the same fireworks. Okay. Absolutely, absolutely.
Any messages or anything you want to give out today?
I do. I would love to wish a happy birthday, a happy 4th birthday to my granddaughter, Amelia. Love you, Peanut. See you later.
So there you go. Happy birthday. Now, the big things that always come around this time is, what's going on with JFK. When they come in, for people coming in from the farmers market, you see the construction, we've heard about it. So where are we at with what's going on at JFK?
So JFK, if you've been out there, you've noticed that the playground equipment has been removed. The old restroom has been removed. I believe that was from like the 1970s. The concession stand is gone. Currently, the paths have all been laid, so they are blacktop, so a nice smooth transition throughout that playground area. Next week, hopefully next week, middle of the month, we will be having the playground equipment will be delivered to us. So that will start being installed, and that's going to be exciting. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek. I don't want to show too much, but this is the the preschool playground area, and nicely brightly colored surface, so we feel that will attract the children to it. And then this is our older school age, also the same color scheme, but this will be for the school age children. There are many more components, but we would like to leave those as a surprise for you. We are hoping for a mid-August completion date with all of that. So other things that are going on out there will be things that you're not really seeing. Some of the under drains are being put in the playground area, footers for the rock structure, and they will be out there working on the seating and the grading of the area.
Okay. Is pickleball still going on now?
Pickleball and tennis courts, they are open. So yes. Remember to social distance. Our pickleball players have been great, following all the rules and recommendations. So there is signage out there advising us, what you should be doing and how to social distance, not share your equipment. All of that good stuff. So it is marked out on the court so that everybody's 6 feet apart. Skate park is open as well, and I know it's highly used as well.
Yeah, it's almost every day. I did get a couple of emails every now and then about the pickleball. We have a lot of dedicated players here in Reynoldsburg.
Yes, we do.
So
they love their pickleball.
Moving on from that, when we're looking towards this fall, I know you haven't had a lot to do because of spring and summer sports not really being active because of this. Where are we looking at right now for fall sports?
We are very optimistic and hopeful that we will be able to offer fall sports. Sorry about that. Right now we are accepting registration for fall soccer and for flag football. So those registrations will go until July the 12th. And at that time we'll take a look at the numbers, and if we need to extend it again, we will. We will do that. We are also accepting registration for our ever popular adult kickball league. So that registration ends at the end of this month. If we need to expand it or extend it, we will do that. We have one team confirmed, but we have lots of phone calls. People are just a little hesitant just because we don't know all of the rules and regulations that are going to be set forth by the Department of Health.
Yeah, they kind of come along and change things every now and then.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They're keeping us on our toes.
So, I'm looking forward to it. I know soccer tends to be one of the more popular sports in Reynoldsburg. Where do most, because my kids have kind of aged out of the soccer aspect of it, and this is the setup question, where do most of our kids play soccer?
Where?
Yeah.
With us, I hope.
What location?
Oh, well, location, Civic Park.
Civic Park.
Yes, that small park out there.
Any fun news on Civic Park coming up?
Yes, we do. We have been talking about, Civic Park is 137 acres. That all we have out there are the basketball courts. We have soccer fields, and we have softball fields. And so there's a lot of potential out there to be able to bring in more recreation, such as perhaps disc golf, a dog park, maybe a kayak launch.
There we go.
Perhaps some additional shelters, restroom, more trails. So a lot of untapped potential that we're looking into what we can do there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We're actually gonna just go ahead and take a little sneak peek next week. We're gonna have a visit in the area just to kind of look at some of the things. Before we move on, do we have any questions for Donna here?
Yeah, we've had a couple questions come in for Donna. This is from Sarah Reed. She says, Donna, when will construction start on the new restrooms and concession stand at JFK?
Hey Sarah, how are you? Hope you're doing well. So the building, which is going to be the concession stand restroom, has been ordered. I am being told that it's about 10 weeks out, that give or take. There have been a lot of things with electrical permits and so forth. So we're hoping that by that mid-August time frame that we should have everything wrapped up, maybe end of August, hopefully at the very latest. But COVID did delay some of the manufacturing process.
Next question is from Michael Berry. It says, blacktop on skate park has cracks and is pretty rough. If it's the same as I've seen a few months ago. It says blacktop on skate park has cracks and is pretty rough.
Yeah. Yes, thanks for that, Michael. We do know that the skate park does need some attention, and that was one of our projects that were going to be worked on this year, and we have put that on hold just till we go further throughout the year to see what the city's finances look like, and I'm hoping that that will still be able to be corrected this year.
That's all of our questions right now.
Okay. I know the skate park's always busy, and I know that was one of the things on the agenda for this year, but it is until we have a better understanding of how COVID is affecting the city financially, that's just one of those things we're just going to have to hold off on. But it's not going to disappear. You know, hopefully if it doesn't get done this year, then definitely it'll be something that will be taken care of next year. So.
I do want to say one other event that we have this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
On Sunday, we have a concert at the park. It's going to be at Huber Park. And Jennifer, it's Mousetrap?
Yes.
Yes, Mousetrap. So you will be able to register for that on Eventbrite, just like you will do for the drive-in movie. We will have pods. Each family will be assigned to a pod with a maximum number of 6 individuals. So this is geared towards the children, something for them to come out and dance to and just have a good, fun evening. And that will be at 6:30 out at Huber Park.
Sounds like a fun time. And again, social distancing is going to be there as a reminder.
Yes.
Franklin County is, as of 6 p.m. tonight, going to be under the mask mandate, so you'll go ahead and have to make sure you have those there. But if you're sitting in your pod in your own little area separated from everyone else, then you wouldn't have to wear them at that particular point in time.
Correct. And we are asking everyone to park at the senior center who arrives for that event.
Okay. All right, so that sounds good. Any other questions from Parks and Rec?
Nope, just lots of thank yous for all that you do, Donna.
Oh, thank you for supporting all of our programming, and we truly do love what we do. Thank you.
All right, so we do, we'll kind of move on a little bit. We've got the Wagner Road information. Again, we're hopeful, and I think we should have our big display signs up for the Wagner Road improvements at tomorrow's Farmers Market, and you'll be able to leave some feedback with some of the people from the city that will be there to gather that. It'll be some of the pictures that we're seeing are very similar to the pictures that we're seeing at the virtual town hall from last week. And while we're on that, I do have some answers to some questions. So I know Sarah Reed was watching just a moment ago, so I hope she's still listening. Christine Smith asked about why were the sidewalks on one side and the bike paths on the other side. So I got the answers from our engineering firm. The trail was placed on the east side of the road because we believe that, generally speaking, there's more available right-of-way and more flat space on the eastern road edge than the western. Since the path is wider than the sidewalk, we place it on that side for those purposes. This could change as we get into detailed design if we run into any unforeseen complications, kind of unknown conflicts, anything that might come up that would be a little bit awkward. But that's kind of the way that it's stated, is what I kind of explained at the town hall. Mary, if you're watching, go ahead and pass this on to you. If you're not watching, I'll make sure and get it sent to you. This was a question about the turn lane that was out actually in front of some of the property in front of St. Pius. The engineer said that what they would probably do is they would request, they would actually change things up and make it kind of like a dual turn lane, so that way you won't have to necessarily wait for anything. You won't have to turn into a left turn lane when you're making a different turn into your own driveway or something like that. So it'll go for both ways, so you can get into St. Pius and all that for a safety aspect of it. But that's one of those things that's cleared up when you get a little bit more into the specific engineering. But now that they've been made aware of it, they'll definitely take care of it in the early stages. And Sarah, if you're still out there, I do have a little bit of information for your question that I think I saw on Facebook asking about what happens to like the entryway at Jordan's Crossing and Quarry Cliff. Both Jordan Crossing and Quarry Cliff will be getting a left-hand turn lane into the subdivision for vehicles approaching from the north, so their access will improve by reducing the likelihood of rear-end collisions from motorists who aren't expecting it from their stop from the left. They will also get a sidewalk connection to the proposed trail along Wagner Road. They're proposing a push-button pedestrian crossing at Quarry Cliff to help protect people so they can safely cross to the west side of Wagner Road. And I'll try and have a connection out there for it. It's going to be very similar to what you see actually in Old Town, where you have the flashing lights that you can go through with the button push so you can get across. As far as your entryways, a lot of that depends on how deep into the right-of-way that they would need to get into. So if anything, it would just be pushed back a little bit, but it won't be taken down completely. So those are a couple of questions. So we've got that going for us. So that's our Wagner Road update for a while. But I hope to see everybody out at the Farmers Market to take a look at some of those pictures on Wagner Road. Again, we're very much in the very beginning stages of this, so it's a great time to get that community comments in on what goes on in Wagner Road. We also, as Donna mentioned earlier, a little bit about our Civic Park program. We are hoping to have a town hall on August 5th. My guess is it will be a virtual town hall, very similar. So we'll take people who want to register first, and they can get on the Zoom call. So if they have very specific questions that they can ask at that point in time. But we'll go through the pictures of what it looks like, what kind of changes would happen, what time frame we're looking at, things like that, and some of the fun things that Donna kind of alluded to a little bit earlier. So that's going to be a fun thing. And then we'll do the same thing. After those pictures are posted and we have the town hall, we'll have them again out at the farmers market throughout the rest of the month of August. So people can take a look at them. Eventually, the plan is for the City Hall to open back up for City Council meetings, probably in September. And at this point, and when that does happen, we're going to try and have both sets of pictures for Wagner Road and for Civic Park out there so people can take a look at them in the process of things. So again, just giving an opportunity for more people to take a look at anything. Did I have any questions out there for anybody?
This is from Tom Rockhold, and he was wanting to know if a decision was made last night about the face masks.
Yeah, we did have a meeting last night. It was originally called as an emergency meeting to propose the legislation for the mask mandate for Reynoldsburg, like a number of other communities are doing. However, unbeknownst to everybody, about 2 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, Governor DeWine, targeted that Franklin County was one of those areas that would have to have the mask. We made the decision to kind of go ahead with the meeting because at that point it was a very short notice to cancel a meeting, and because of the amount of community feedback that we were getting all the way across, and again you can watch it on our Facebook page, we wanted to make sure that our community had the opportunity to express their views. We had people expressing views on both sides for the mask mandate and against the mask mandate. What eventually happened at the end of it is we want to make sure that our legislation mirrors what the governor's legislation is going to be, specifically because of the fact that Reynoldsburg is in 3 different counties. It's not just Franklin County. We also have Fairfield County, which is by our 256 and Target areas, as well as the Licking County area, which is where our Kroger location is out on the Licking County side of things. So we want to make sure that all of it is treated equally and the same all the way across. And council will be able to take some more comments on this at Monday night's council meeting to have a little bit more detail on it once it's revised and everything does match. So that's where we're at with that particular position.
Okay, no more questions.
No more questions. All right. As always, census, hashtag 2020. We inched up just a little bit. We're at 71.9%. So now we're going to find out. Have you done your census?
I did my census.
Okay. So everybody in your house has done the census?
There's only 2 of us, so
okay,
yes.
So you got it? All right, just making sure. So again, census is incredibly important, especially when it comes to allocation of state funding, federal funding, all the way down. So we want to make sure we get those up. We've done a great job. They have not started going the door-to-door aspect yet because obviously COVID has kind of delayed a little bit on the census program, but we're above where we were 10 years ago, which is great news. I'd still like to kind of move up a little bit. We're in good shape. We're still ahead of the town on the other side of 256 there. Gehanna inched up just a little bit. They're about 77.9%. We're at 71.9%. And Columbus, they just keep trying. So there you go. For the rest of us, we're doing a great job with it. We do have a special guest next week on July 15th. We're going to have Reynoldsburg Police Chief Curtis Baker. He is our new police chief, and I'm sure we'll have some great questions that we can talk about everything that's going on with there and what RPD is planning on doing and how we kind of adapt to not only COVID, but also the other issues that are surrounding everything. But at this time, I'd like just to take a couple of comments or a couple of minutes to talk about civility. So late Sunday, early Monday, I had a conversation about what happened out at Civic Park on the 4th of July. Obviously, we were all disappointed that we didn't have the fireworks this year. But what kind of really disappointed me is the trash that was left at Civic Park from people that decided to have their own festival. There were a lot of beer bottles, a lot of trash, and our Parks and Recs employees had to pick a lot of that up. And it's just one of those things where, if you're going to do that, that's fine. There was nothing that we could do to stop, and we're not going to track and try and find everybody doing the 4th of July fireworks. But again, picking up after yourself is a big thing. I know that I've been taking walks around my neighborhood and in other areas, and I do see a lot of trash out there. I'm actually going to be asking Donna for one of the little trash pickers in a bag, because I feel like if I'm just walking by, I can't pick all the trash up, but I feel like we need to. And that's just something that I think that we all can do. I know that a number of community members even established, I think, a Facebook page to gather some of that type of stuff up. So again, that's out there, that trying to take care of that and have a little bit of pride for your community with not littering as much. The other thing is, it's social media. Social media is a great tool. We're on social media now. We're able to get a lot of information out to members in the community about what's going on in Reynoldsburg and how things go. And that's the good part of social media. The bad part of social media is not everybody is as nice as they could be on social media. You know, everybody's going to have their different points of view. Some people are for masks, some people are against masks. Some people will be for Wagner Road, some people will not be for Wagner Road. Disagreements are fine. Bringing up different points of view, different information, different facts, things like that, those are fine. When it turns into issues that become where people are calling each other names, or they're trying to equate political ideology with decision-making processes all the way across, it's not helpful. I get it. We're all frustrated. We've been cooped up in houses for a long time. We haven't been able to live the life that we usually thought we would, and that is a frustration. And so maybe we're just taking it out on some of our friends and neighbors on social media. But I just got to ask you, just let us try and find a way to get along. I think we can. I think we all want the same things. We all want our city to be clean. We all want to be able to walk and go to stores without having masks on. We want to be able to have our kids go back to school in the fall next year. We want to do all of these things, and while I know Facebook especially is a great way to get that kind of frustration out, remember, people are allowed to have different views, and we got to respect everybody's opinions on that, and we shouldn't be name calling or, you know, any kind of other conspiracy theories about what may or may not be the basis for what's going on. We're trying our best. I think everybody's doing what they can to make the best of a situation that's really rough. So for me, that's my big thing right now, is to try to be civil when it comes to social media. As always, if you have questions about anything going on in the city of Reynoldsburg, you don't have to wait till Wednesday to ask. You're more than welcome to email my assistant so we can get a track. And the only reason you email her as opposed to me is so that way she makes sure that I answer all your questions on email. That's basically the biggest thing, which I do have another question that I have to answer. Josh Meek asked about our community commissions, and he asked about what the time frame would be. I'm a big believer in due dates. It's an old habit of me from being a teacher. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to establish the commissions to run for about 9 months to a year. Now that means that would be the maximum that it would be. What I would like to do, let's say if we're talking about transportation, specifically speeding in some of our areas of Reynoldsburg, then we would actually have to have those meetings and come up with a plan and an idea about what best way to stop some of those issues from happening to try and reduce speeding. But we don't need a year to do that. I think that's something that we could do in just a couple of months. Now, the process, if we have to add speed bumps, speed tables, things of that nature, that may change and that may take a little bit longer, but the committee itself should be something that could be relatively contained to get that information. Same thing with neighborhood beautification and whatnot. If the committees are successful and worthwhile, we can always continue them. I think there's nothing wrong with that, but it's, again, I'm a big believer in having an actual goal, looking at it and achieving those goals in a relatively short period. So again, I look forward to any of your emails that you send out. I want to again thank you so much, Donna, for coming out today. I know we're all busy here, especially on these hot days with cutting grass and getting everything ready with JFK and all of the events for Parks and Rec this weekend, so I appreciate taking the time. I appreciate the community members for watching, and again, if there's ever any questions that you have, feel free and shoot them out to me. Otherwise, have a wonderful weekend, and again, tune in next week when Chief Baker will be joining us for the first time as Chief of Police of Reynoldsburg. So have a great day, and we'll see you soon.